What if I told you there are creatures in the Bible so terrifying they would make the monsters from our horror movies look like pets? Today we're going to discover together the 13 most frightening creatures mentioned in the scriptures, in a countdown from the least to the most bizarre. And believe me when I say, number 1 will make you look at the Bible with different eyes. We begin our countdown with a creature you may have heard of thanks to the Harry Potter books and movies, but that actually appeared in the Bible thousands of years ago. The basilisk, also called the asp. In Isaiah 11:8, the prophet mentions this extremely venomous serpent when he says, "The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the basilisk's den." In ancient legends, this serpent was so dangerous it could kill with just a glance. Some believed it was born from a rooster's egg hatched by a snake. Can you imagine finding one of these in your garden? In the Bible, it represents evil hiding in unexpected places. Did you know that many medieval paintings showed the basilisk as a mixture of rooster and serpent? It was one of the creatures that most inspired artists throughout the centuries. And to think this is only number 13 on our list. Can you imagine what lies ahead? If the basilisk is already impressive, prepare your heart for what we're about to reveal. Let's continue our journey toward the most bizarre creatures of the Holy Scriptures. Creature 12. Unicorns. That's right, you heard correctly. Unicorns are mentioned in the famous King James Version of the Bible. But hold on, they're not those colorful little horses kids love. The Hebrew word ram was translated as unicorn in some older versions, especially in the King James Bible. In Numbers 23:22 we read, "God brought them out of Egypt. He has, as it were, the strength of a unicorn." Modern scholars believe it probably referred to a type of extinct wild ox with an imposing horn, perhaps the aurochs, a large wild bovine that existed until the 17th century. Some historians believe that when ancient travelers encountered rhinoceroses or narwhals, that whale with a long horn, they described them as unicorns. The important thing is that the Bible mentions a powerful and untamable creature that symbolized wild strength, and remember, we still have 11 more bizarre creatures ahead. Can you imagine what's coming next? Creature 11. Cherubim. Forget those chubby babies with tiny wings that we see in paintings and decorations. The real cherubim of the Bible would scare anyone. In Ezekiel 10, the prophet describes these angelic creatures in detail, and I can guarantee there's nothing cute about them. They were beings with 4 different faces: a human face, a lion face, an ox face, and an eagle face. Moreover, they had 4 wings covered with eyes on all sides. Ezekiel 10:12 says, "Their entire bodies, including their backs, hands, and wings, were completely full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels." These creatures guarded sacred places, like the Garden of Eden after Adam and Eve were expelled, and also God's throne. Just imagine encountering one of these creatures in the dark. 4 different faces, eyes all over, and we're still far from the most bizarre creature on our list. We've reached the top 10. Moving up a step in the scale of impressive creatures, we come to the seraphim. Have you seen those cute little angels in church paintings? Well, they have nothing to do with the real angels described in the Bible. In Isaiah 6, the prophet has a vision of these celestial beings that almost made him faint with fear. Isaiah describes the seraphim as angels with 6 wings. 2 covered their faces, probably because the divine glory was too intense even for them to look at. 2 covered their feet, a symbol of humility, and with 2 they flew. The name seraphim comes from a Hebrew word meaning burning or flaming. They were described as beings of fire, so bright that no one could look directly at them without protection. When one of these beings touched the prophet Isaiah's lips with a live coal, he was purified of his sins. So impressive were these creatures that the prophet himself feared for his life upon seeing them. And we're only at position 10 in our countdown. Creature 9. Behemoth. In the book of Job, chapters 40 and 41, we find one of the most detailed descriptions of mysterious creatures. God shows the suffering Job the power of his creation by speaking about Behemoth, a gigantic land creature. The description is impressive. Its bones are tubes of bronze, its limbs like rods of iron. It ranks first among the works of God. It feeds on whole mountains where all the wild animals play. It lies under the lotus plants, hidden among the reeds in the marsh. Many scholars try to identify behemoth as a hippopotamus or elephant, but the description suggests something much larger and more terrifying, perhaps even a species of dinosaur that still lived at that time. This theory gains strength when we read that its tail sways like a cedar. Hippopotamuses have small tails, not comparable to cedars. Whatever the real creature behind this description may be, behemoth represents the absolute power of divine creation on Earth. And we're getting closer and closer to the truly bizarre creatures in our countdown. Creature 8. Abaddon in Revelation. Lansin, we meet a terrifying figure, Abaddon in Hebrew, or Apollyon in Greek, the angel of the abyss. This being is described as the king of demonic locusts that are released to torture humanity for 5 months. His name means destroyer,